How do we make it financially in America? Stay tuned to know more. Hi, my name is Sandrine. Welcome to Immigrant Live Up. I'm excited for you to come back. Last time we had really fun talking about a lot of things. And before I go into a second episode, I would just like to know that I missed few steps on last video, which is like student visas. I forgot to mention that. I also forgot to mention about marriage visas. Those are also a way of coming in America and how people stay here due to those two. We'll go back and talk about it in the next episode, but today I'm super excited about what we're going to talk about. Finances. Who doesn't want to know how to make it in America? Financially, it starts from the beginning. So let's roll over and go from the beginning where really you see your neighbor that live next to you, and they don't go to work, and yet they're living, and they live in a good neighborhood, a good house, a good car. You want to have that too as an immigrant? Here's where we're supposed to start. So if you're parents and you're an immigrant here, you have to make sure, if you have a husband and wife in a household, for example, if you have kids under 5 years old, there's something called daycare. Nobody talk about it, but this is going to help you make sure that your finances are okay. You have to factor in the daycare expenses. If both of you wants to work, and you have to understand how much money are you bringing into a household for you to have the luxury to send your child into daycare. In the area that I live in, daycare start from $350 to $500 a week, which it's a lot for a lot of people, and it's very expensive for almost all of us, which means it's rounding to $2,000 a month just to have your child in daycare so that mom and dad go work. So you have to make sure you know how much you're earning. There are jobs that can offer you the possibility where one goes to work, the other one stays home, vice versa, to make sure that you're bringing enough money to sustain your family. Second is going to be when you are from 5 years old to 12 years old, people go to school. Thank God, in this country, it's going to be free. But it also comes with responsibility on the parent's side. School ends at 3:30 in most states, which means parents are still at work. So you also have to factor in how much are you going to spend to have somebody stay at home with your kids for the 2 hours. Some schools have after-school program, and a lot of immigrants may not know that, but you have after-school program, and you have to apply for it a year in advance for you to get in. And if you do get in, they are cheaper than regular daycare. But also your neighbor daycare has an after-school program. If they're keeping your child for about 3 hours after school, you will need to pay for that. It also ranges depending on a state where you are, but where I live is $14,000 to $17,000 a year, which is another factor that comes into your finances. Are you able to pay for that so that your child makes it out? From 12 years old to up to they're going middle school, high school, they can stay at home after school for about a few hours until parents come home. This is where you, as a parent, if you're working, then you have this school situation out of your way for a minute there because you're saving money. You're not having to pay for daycare. That is good for you. But my attention here is, you may ask yourself, how does this work with my finances? It does work with your finances because you need to take care of your children before they become adult so that it helps you down the road to not take care of them later on. Be careful as an immigrant. What school does your kid go to? What are they teaching them in that school? What is the course they are learning? You may say, I don't speak English. It's okay if you don't speak English, and I understand that. Not all of us had that possibility or luxury to learn English before we came to America. But that's not an excuse. You know a person in your neighborhood, a friend in your church, somewhere you go that speaks English, that can help you be that ally for your child in school. Make sure you understand what it is that they are teaching them. Go to those parent-kid meeting. When the school asks for you, be present. Even if you don't speak the language, be present. Some schools are very organized. They will even get you an interpreter. Be present so that your child feels that mom and dad, or if it's only mom or it's only dad, whoever, your guardian, is interested in what I'm doing. When they encounter issues at school, they'll come back and talk to you. They will be like, mom, dad, guardian, whoever, this is what is going on in my school, because they know you care. But a lot of us as immigrants, we tend to be, I don't know, I don't speak English and I don't know what my child is studying, so you segregate yourself from them. Eventually, they'll get somebody else to be their ally, and before you know it, it's too late. Don't wait for them to go to university. It starts in middle school and high school. That will take care of your child to make sure they know where they're going when it comes to university. So university, I personally did the whole 9 years of going to college and got a degree and all that. It's good. But in today's age, I'm not advising all parents to focus on sending their kid in 4-year college. And here's the reason. It may not be a popular idea, but here's my reasoning. When you are going straight from home, high school to college, you are incurring a lot of debts. And debts will start from $40,000 a year, for 4 years, to 100 and something. Some people have $100,000 a year loan. And every time you sign that loan in school, when they're 18, under the loan paperwork for financial aid, it does ask, what's your parents' name? You put in all your parents' information. So for parents who think that it doesn't matter what my child do, I don't care, it's the loan in their name, be careful, because that loan can impact you down the road. And this is how our finances go really bad, because we don't take care of these little things that are not, all it costs is for you to know why your child is going to college, what is he or she going to do in college, what is the cost? Is it going to be something that will bring more money? Is it going to be something that will take care of them after they're done with college? Are they able to get a job in your area? What kind of jobs are they targeting? And that will take only 5 minutes conversation with your child to know what it is that they are doing. So my advice for most parents who, if you don't know what your child is going to, some children are very specific, smart. They will determine at a young age, I'm going to be a lawyer, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a this and that. That's good. The ones who don't know what they're going to do, try to be their ally and help them get there by helping them explain. They need to explain to you and convince you as a parent what it is that they're going to do. There are community college in every area. There's something called community college. Our advice for your children, if you're an immigrant, especially immigrant, go to community college. Here are the reasons why. If you go to community college, you stay home with your parents. You don't have a lot of expenses. You're not paying rent. You can contribute rent, but you can stay home, get a full-time job, and also attend school full-time. Get yourself an associate degree. While you're in those 2 years, you will understand more how does college life works, and also you are in the work area, meaning you know how to go to work, how to sustain a job. You are getting experience. And when you work in my office as a recruiter, I'm more interested in you than somebody who went straight to college and got a 4-year degree with 0 experience. Nobody cares about your 4-year degree with 0 experience. Too bad, but it is the truth. We don't care as employers about your 4-year degree with 0 experience. We want the degree, but we also want experience. So how are you going to get experience if you're stuck in a dorm for 4 years? It's impossible for you to do that. The other way, if you are stuck in a dorm for 4 years, get yourself some sort of maybe a holiday job, an internship that you're going to keep on using every time, so that we see all we want to do as employer. We want to know that if I bring you in, do you know how to be on time? Do you know how to respect authority? How to follow rules? Have you used computer in a work environment, not on assignment? If I am not your parents, I cannot teach you all of that the first day that you come out of college. So we want somebody else to be the one to do it, so I can pay you the money you deserve, with the experience you deserve. So bear in mind that's very important. If you have your associate degree after 2 years with tons of experience, once you walk into the work environment, there's tendency of you wanting to stay a working person. So you can still go in college for 2 years. And here's the other thing. You need to go to closer college, closer from home. I'm speaking out of experience. I went far away in a different continent where it would take literally 35 hours on a plane for my parents to come see me. It's fun and fancy at the first time. The first year is fun. Second year, reality started kicking in. When you have a bigger issue and you don't have an authority as a parent or anybody that you can go to, it becomes a problem. So don't let your kid go too far unnecessarily. Kids may not be fan of it either, but it's just like it's saving you time and money. Go to a nearest college, 2 to 4 hours maximum, where your parents can jump in a car and go there. Vice versa for the kid, because you are going to learn how to be there for your kid whenever they need you, and you are following up with them. Especially as immigrant, we want to be involved in our kids, and we have a different education that we want to offer our kids. Even if you're an adult in an immigrant household, you still listen to mom and dad. You still follow what mom and dad does. So you have to be able to do that. And leaving your kid away from you that far, it limits you to be able to guide them, per se. And that is a kid that you're helping for them to know what they're doing so that their finances are also better. As for parents, if you came in this country, let's say you were 25 years old when you came in the country, you're already too late on saving money. Most people started at 18 years old when they got their first job. So we are now talking about financial issues. Since you're late, I know it's not a popular idea out there. Get yourself a high-paid job and move from job to job to job. It's okay, but it's also not okay. Because to build yourself as a financially stable person, you have to have something called 401k. So if you do not have a personal business that you're creating or something, and you are W-2 employee, try to stay in a job at least for 3 years, because you get something called 401k. 401k is free money that employers give out. And a lot of us miss it out because we are moving from job to job. It will take up to a year for you to get a 401k. An employer will match up to from 3% to up to 7%. What they do is you can contribute. Whatever you contribute, the employer will match exactly 3% of that money. So the 3% that the employer contribute to your 401k, it's free money. Who doesn't want free money? It's sitting there and it's growing while you're doing your job. That is something that is really important. The second important thing, this is anybody who has come from that era of like you came in the country while you're a working person, you're a grown up. Second is credit. You know why your neighbor or why non-immigrant walk into a dealership and get themselves a car and nobody asks them for 0 penny? You know why they walk into a realtor office and get themselves a house that they want? Not all of them have cash money. They have something called credit. And I know Dave Ramsey is out there. He talks about how to save money and not have credit. But most of us take his word in the wrong way. He still does not tell you to have bad credit. Because if you don't have credit, then you have to make sure you don't have bad credit. So no loan, no funny loan. That a lot of us are caught up in loans. You walk into a mall and someone says, do you want a credit card so you can save 5%? So you can save. Don't get those credit cards in a mall. Macy credit card and all the other credit cards, do not get them. They mess up your credit score. It's better to have 0 credit than to have bad credit. So make sure you started building your credit. You may ask yourself, how are you going to build your credit? It's very simple. Every area in the U.S., you have banks called credit unions. It will have a fancy name before, but it will have credit union at the end of it. So look for a credit union next to you. Tell them that you want to build up your credit. They'll open a credit, like a debit card, per se, but it's a credit card with a limit of $500. You would deposit $500 in that account, and they will let you have a credit card. But that credit card, you only allowed to use 30% of that credit card. This is other information that a lot of us didn't know. When you have a credit card, never go beyond 30% of the limit of your credit card. Because once you go 30% of the limit of your credit card, the bank, you send an information to the bank telling them that you are not able to sustain yourself without loan. So you are living based on your credit card. So every credit card from now on, go ahead and check your limit, calculate 30% of that limit. That's the only thing you can use. Now remember, if you have a credit union card that you're building your credit, 500%, like 500, 30% of 500, how much is that? It's nothing. You need to use that every single month. Make sure you use that 30% of the $500. 10% of $500 is $50. So what is 30%? Something out there. Do the math. I'm not a mathematician. But it's going to be very, very less. So make sure you use the 30% of your credit card every single month. Pay it within 3 cycles. I'm becoming financial now. Cycles are like every 3 weeks. That's where you have to pay. So most credit card will start from the 25th until the 1st of the month. It's going to be 25th, 28th, 27th. Make sure you pay it on the billing cycle. If you're paying it online, it will have something calling automatic pay, where you can just click auto pay. It will pay itself every now and then, every month. If you do that for about a year, your credit scores start growing up. If you have a loan, God forbid you got a loan, you need to make sure you pay that loan every time. Every time you pay your loan, people have like cell phone loans, car loan. These are necessity loan. I'm not going to talk about clothing loan because that's very unwise loan. So the loan that you may occur while you're here is car loan, house loan, cell phone loan. These are necessities you need. If you have those loans, make sure you pay them on time. That does work. It does contribute on building your credit. Your bills at home, utility bills, water, electricity, gas, those contribute also to your credit score. So if you have those in check, is your rent being paid on time? That contribute on your credit score. So that once your credit score is above 620, any bank will listen to what you have to say. They will give you sometimes a little bit of higher rate, but it's going to be very, very unlikely that you are denied for things that you're looking for a car or for a house. They will entertain you. I'm not saying they will they will approve you right away, but they'll entertain you. If your credit score is 700 and above, they will listen to you and give you loan that you're asking still in a parameter that are okay. There's nothing that it's painful as a person walking into a bank and you need a loan for a necessity thing like a car, or maybe you want to buy a house because everybody in your neighborhood owns a house now. You want to do it and you are earning a lot of money. I know people who are earning $150,000 a year and cannot afford to get a house loan. You are paying your rent $3,000 a year. Your loan, if you own a house, you will pay maybe $2,000 for mortgage, but nobody's going to give you a house. You know why? Because you have bad credit. Bad credit is it's a fancy word of saying to the bank that you are not smart financially. You don't know how to use your money. So that's the reason why they want you to have a good credit, because if you keep up with your credit, there's high chances that you'll be able to also keep up with paying them the money back. If you're not able to do something like keeping up with your credit, then how will you want the bank who doesn't know you and don't know anything but your paper check or salary that you have in your account to be able to trust you? They need something to go off of it. So that's why credit's important. So as parents, you have to know that your credit, it's important. And when they are even taking into consideration, especially when you're buying a house. 401k, the one I talked about, it's really important. If you have a good 401k, you've been in a company for 3 years and above, you can move. Once you have a 401k, you can move with your 401k from company to company, and it will keep on growing. But if you're a jumper from here to here and you've never been a full-time employee with anybody, which means you have zero 401k, and that it's also a big deal because you are losing that 3% that employers are paying and are required to pay. You're just leaving it out there, and it's contributing to how much you're going to have when you retire. So now that you know how to have something called credit score, let's talk about bad debt. Bad debts are debts that you really don't need, but you're putting yourself into. Secondly, it's a debt that you have, but it has bad, and I'm repeating myself because I want to make sure you remember that. It's debt that has very high interest. And interest also comes, and is correlation with interest comes with bad credit score. If you don't have a good credit score, you have much chance to get a bad rate every time you get it. So if you have a loan that your rate is higher than 8%, I'll let that sink in. Do you have any loan that you were given and you have more than 8%? That's a bad debt. Leave everything you're doing right now and pay that debt fast, because that is not a healthy debt. That is something that was given to you because of your bad credit score, or sometimes they use you because they see that you don't understand financial rates and they just give it to you because your accent or because you're an immigrant. And that is something, and this, when it comes to bad debts, it's not even for immigrants, it's for everybody. You need to learn what are your interests. Every time you have a higher interest, there's something wrong. Something is not done right. Once you have an interest, these loans that are bad, you have to take them out. The last loan that we're going to talk about is student loans. A lot of us have been told around that it's fine, just go get that student loan, use the money and run around. If you have student loan, let's even explain why do we get student loan. It's because school is expensive, but the government has come up with a good idea of lending people money so that they can go and pursue their studies, which is great. Where I come from, we don't have that. So I applaud the government for that. But it's our responsibility as citizens to understand, what loan do I take? If you're going to school as an immigrant, let's be honest, political science. So you move from your country to come in a foreign country to study their politics. How much chance do you have for you to be successful in your career as a politician with an immigrant background? I'm not saying it's impossible. There are so many people that I know that have that. But let's take the livelihood of chances to make it in that career. It's very low. So why are you taking that? Think about the course you're doing in college. International studies with, culture, social science, culture, something. When you don't understand your degree, it's already a big deal. Every time you register for a degree, make sure you do enough research. If I graduate with this degree, how much money it's bringing for me? A lot of people go, oh, school has nothing to do with money. No, it has everything to do with money. Because if I'm going to get a loan for something, I bet you I need to know how much it's giving me. Because before I get this degree, I'm going to spend this much money. So if I'm spending $60,000 a year for this degree, or for 4 years of degree, I need at least that 60 a year on that same return. Because once you're done, your 60,000 loan has 8% interest, which you need to pay, by the way, as soon as you graduate. Some people will tell you it's not needed to pay, and that's a lie. You will need to pay that money. It will affect your retirement. It will affect a lot of things. You may end up by not even being able to afford to get a loan for a house down the road. to get yourself a car down the road, because that loan is always going to appear on your credit all the time. It may not really ruin your credit per se, but it depends on who you're working with. If you're working with private financial person, they will see that as a lack of integrity on your end, because you promised that you're going to pay that money in a certain time and you did not. So make sure you know what you're doing with. It comes down to what degree are you getting, and is it helpful that I can get that? Don't be discouraged, because I've had a person who told me, as an immigrant, you're not supposed to go to school and do something like doctors and an engineer and this high-pay job or a lawyer, whatever. That's a lie, because I know people, and I'll bring them around and talk about it, who are immigrant and went and did exactly those career, and they're doing good. They made it out. They're doing good. It's easy, but it's not common. A lot of immigrants will stop from doing that. Like, for example, Nigerians. If you're not a lawyer, a pharmacist, an engineer, or a doctor, your parents will not allow you to take any other course but that, regardless of your interest, which I applaud those parents, because that way, even if the kid is never going to use their doctor, whatever degree, or use their lawyer degree, or engineer degree, or pharmacist degree, at least they have a fall off. In case whatever it is that you're doing doesn't work, you can always apply somewhere. And they're always going to need these 4 categories of people. If you cannot understand what you want, do a business. Get a business management. It's broad, it's easier to get, and you have opportunity to work in anywhere and change your career anytime you want. But if you've already decided to go to school, make it important. Let it be useful, so that you know that you're not incurring loans that you cannot take care of. Again, to recap this, you have to make sure you want to make it in this country financially. You need to take care of yourself and people around you. It starts from your children. It starts from your household, husband and wife. It starts from taking care of your credit. It's starting from not accepting bad loan, but also getting things that are given to you, like a 401k. And the last option that we're going to have, which I'll talk about in the next video, we can also open an IRA account, which is an individual contribution that you can open. Go to a bank, ask them. You can contribute as less as $25 per week. You know, that's money you can go in a restaurant and eat in one go. So $25 a week. If you are 25 years old and you start contributing at that age, by the time you're 65, you already have 85,000. Like, you can have like 85 and $1 million, less than $1 million that you can make. Some people, if they start at 8, you make 1 million. By the time you retire, you have $1 million waiting for you in your account. That's why your neighbor doesn't go to work, and they're in their 70s, and they drive a nice car, they live in a nice house, because what? They work since they are 15 years old, they got 401k, they started contributing for their IRA since they are 15 years old, and by the time they are retiring with $4 million in their account, sometimes $10 million in their account, and that's the goal for you. You can't do that by doing basically nothing. Going to work, come back home. Have your 401k build up, have your IRA build up. By the time you retire, who knows if we're going to get retirement from the government? Nobody knows that. There's so many up stories, and no one knows what it is that you're going to get by the time we retire, the rest of us. So make sure you build up with that. Right now, if you came in all that, that means $25 a week. It's not good for your IRA. You need maybe $200 a week. Who knows? It depends on how old you are and how long you have to work before you get 65 or above. Are you planning to retire even? Have you talked about retirement? And the last subject that really kill everybody in this country as immigrant, have you thought of life insurance? Because we don't talk about that a lot. Have you ever thought of your life insurance? If you are dead today, are you expecting your kids to spend $70,000 to bury you? when they don't have money. That also comes for free, by the way, closer to free. If you're working for a full-time employer, they will give it to you. You pay about $1 or $2 or $3. If you don't have a full-time job, you can always get any company around you and they can give you that. You can apply for that and pay less than $10 a month or something and get yourself life insurance. The cheapest value of life insurance is going to be $20,000 to help $20,000 to up to $200,000 for your burial. Think about it. We don't think about dying, but all of us are going to die one day. So if you have no information, I will leave the links below of companies that can help you to get life insurance, 401k, IRA. I'll leave them in my video because these are very important things that can make you live as a non-immigrant in this country and enjoy all the financial attributes that you deserve. Drive into a car that you deserve. Live into a house that you deserve. Retire like you deserve. Have your kids in schools that you deserve. Sustain a life that you deserve. That's all for this week, and I hope that I'm going to get back to you next week and next month and bring you more content. But today is, if you forgot everything that I said, just remember you are able to be financially sound in this country. Thank you very much. Until next time, bye.